Check, check. Check one, check two.
Cool.
Whoop, there it is. Playing around with that. Like to welcome all the live streamers that we got in there watching us. I think there's there's nobody there yet, but you'll show up a little bit later.
Yeah,
let's kick off this podcast number 3. We're gonna just go ahead and get right into it. People we want to manifest, who we want to intend. This show is gonna have on there in the next year, and I'm gonna kick it off to you. Who you want? Who's your first pick of the draft?
I say my first pick, man, would be old Billy Carson, man, and I think that'd be a cool one. Not only from his wealth of knowledge, but being from Florida, basketball player. I think we can talk about a lot of different things besides, how much he knows, which is a lot. But yeah, he's traveled a lot of places and done a lot of things, and for me, I think that'd be a cool person to get on.
Okay. And what's the first? You got a question in your mind? What you want to ask him? What would you want to know about? I guess we can formulate the question from what you want to know about. What do you want to know about Billy?
Yeah, it's not even wanting to know more because he's done plenty of interviews and all that stuff. I kind of want to get his thoughts on how does he feel we can get out of what we're in. What is the application of it? That's what I keep going back to. So I kind of want to talk to him on what is this vision for the future of humanity, because just information itself isn't going to get us there. So I'm just curious with his knowledge and the things he's seen, does he have any ideas on what that will look like?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think he's getting himself out of his own matrix. So he's trying to do different things. And he's making some stuff happen, so he's manifesting what he's trying to do. But so no question in general. What you would ask him?
I've listened to some of his stuff. I mean, not that. Nah, I mean that'd be the main thing because I'm more interested in like people's vision for the future is not necessarily because there's a limit to what you can prove, and we can talk theories until we're blue in the face. But I'm curious, what can we do while we're here? That's what I'm more interested in. Can we really create the utopia or a better society that we talk about? Can we really get closer to a type 1 civilization, if you will? And what does that look like? What are those steps? And are we even on that road, on that path?
Okay. All right. I think I would probably want to ask him if he had any truth bombs that he's not discussed, or he has not been willing to put his theory out there. I want to know if there's something crawling in the back of his mind that he's like, it's a little crazy, but I'm probably going to just hold on to this till I figure some more information out. Because he's been a lot of places. He's got another trip coming up. I think he's got his Forbidden Knowledge tour where he takes a group of people and he's going to Cambodia. And there's some really interesting architecture up there, obviously. He knows something that we don't know. So he's going to Cambodia. I would also probably ask him why he's going to Cambodia, aside from the architecture. So I would want to know that. That's something that I would probably ask him.
Gotcha.
So yeah, the guy I would probably get probably wouldn't be my first pick of the draft, but I told Chad, I said I'd like to have Anthony Peak on here, and I know Anthony's he's overseas. He talks a lot about Groundhog's Day. I said I wanted him for Groundhog's Day, February 1st. It ain't gonna happen this year. Maybe it'll happen next year. That'll be a wish list kind of thing for one of these February 1st. We can get him on there. I really want to talk to him about the Damon and have him expand on that. I see some Netflix stuff on the Damon with spirit animals, and I want to know what he perceives that is, if that's his higher self or if that's just a spirit guide or what that is. Have you watched any Anthony Peak videos?
Not many. I've heard of him, and seen some of his stuff, but I'm not as versed on him though. So what do you mean when he talks about I know you're not talking about Matt Damon. What Damon, or what is this concept of Damon?
The Damon is spelled Daemon, and I think it's supposed to be derived. Somebody came up with it, or they're trying to hijack it, and they're trying to say that it's like a demon. So like spirit within, or something over your shoulder telling you to do something. And the concept, and I'm not sure it's his concept, but the concept is like somebody's talking to you. It's like if you're looking in this direction, right? And then all of a sudden something tells you, look over here, and somebody's staring at you. Like that's something that potentially somebody's telling you, hey, check that out. Like it's an awareness factor that you don't have access to. For me, it was about when I was playing golf, and I was trying to get in my zone, and I ran up to this lake, and I wasn't even paying no attention. I was jogging around the lake trying to get my golf ball, and I was like 7 feet from this like 10-foot gator, and something told me, like, pick my head up. Like, it didn't literally tell me that, but that was my reaction, was like, oh shit, like, watch where you're walking. And if I hadn't picked my head up probably within that step, maybe one more step, like I was done. Like that would have been it. That thing was just lazy and watching me, but you could tell, like, if I'd have got one more step, he wasn't jumping in the lake. He wasn't no baby gator. He was so something told me instinctively, not like a whisper in my head, but like, hey, pay attention. A lot like if you're in the car and something crazy happens and you like knee-jerk reaction, you swerve left, you swerve right, and then you come back in and you're like, damn, like, I'm glad I was paying attention at that particular second. So I would want him on there, because I would want to know what he's talking about with this, what he considers that to be the daemon, if that's a spirit, if that is like your higher self, or if that's like some kind of a guide telling you, to do something. In his mind, though, he's thinking it's like a Groundhog's Day kind of thing. So he says you keep living it over and over and over until you get it right. And in my mind, that kind of made sense, because I'll go back to the alligator thing. I can still kind of feel what that would have felt like. Like I replay that in my mind a lot. Potentially not picking my head up and getting pulled into the water, and then probably not making it out of there. So like for me, that's like my Groundhog's Day, where it's like, hold up, get that out of there, and let's do it correctly. This is the last second you can pick your head up before something bad's gonna happen to your dumb ass. Like, let's do it again. So for me, that was what I consider that to be like the daemon. He calls it that, and other people have used that term before, but that's what I would want to know for him. All right, who else you got?
I think it'd be cool to talk to old David Icke, man.
Okay.
I know he's one of the grandfathers of the whole conspiracy theory, and the grandfather of reptilians and all of that stuff. I think he'll be just interesting to talk to. I don't have heard a lot of his theories and things of that nature. I just be again, it would be the same question as a lot of people with the doom and gloom. And not saying that he's one of them, but I try to look at, okay, if this is a situation, what do we do next? Like, where are those ideas at? So that's kind of what I don't feel a lot of these people share. Maybe they haven't thought about it. Maybe they're focused on just getting the information out to make people aware. But there's a part of me that kind of feels, from a time standpoint, that the people that are aware of these things are going to have to do something. I think there's a better chance for that happening than there being a mass awakening, if you will. I know there's the potential of the 100 monkey syndrome, or the 100 monkey, not the syndrome, but that phenomenon, to where enough information is in the field that everybody else accesses it. But I feel even if that's the case, just because you have awareness or information and knowledge doesn't mean you're going to actually do something. So I just wonder what you think about that. And these people that have been out and talked to people, so I'm curious how much thought they put to how we get out of this situation. Or if they even feel it's something we can get out of it.
Yeah, I don't think David Icke feels we could probably get out of the situation. I mean, honestly, he probably feels like, oh, there's always a chance, but I don't feel like, listening to what he said about his videos and listening to him talk, I don't think he's put much faith in humanity. They've been looking at him, especially from his point of view. Maybe he's been looking at this stuff for 30 years, 40 years. I mean, people are starting to talk about it now, obviously, and and get more into it. But I don't think he would have much hope for getting out of the situation that we're in, at least not anytime soon.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go off the rails a little bit. My second pick would be, my people are gonna be off the walls a little bit. It's not gonna be anybody like Sadhguru or Joe Dispenza, but I would want to get Aaron Apke on the show. I don't know if you know who Aaron Apke is. He's a very spiritual person. He talks about the law of one a lot. He looks like he's pretty down to earth. He does some schooling on YouTube and talks a lot about it. But as I watch his videos, I can almost try to answer his questions, and sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm way off the ballpark. He's got some different knowledge than what I have, but he's on the same track of like trying to talk to like someone who has information about a channeler. So he's researched the law of one, Ra, and he's very knowledgeable about reincarnation and how that works with the law of one. Maybe it's not 100% correct, but I know he's looked into that a lot, and he does a lot of internal work. So, just breaking down the matrix that we're in, breaking down the world that has all these problems. He's very even keel as far as how he reacts to situations and problems. So I think that is definitely, when you look at, how do we move forward? How do we get better? If we can't change it, in a day, how do we process that? And he's very even keel. He's very, I really respect the way he looks at life. Even if it's just his own fairy tale land, some people probably would think. I'm not saying there's a negative. I mean, just, he's very strong-minded and strong-willed in how he looks at it. So he don't be distracted by too much of the outside stuff. All right. How about you? We'll do 3 picks in this round, and then we'll do something else.
Yeah. So my next one that comes to mind, there's a couple. I was going to Kyrie. I thought he'd be interesting to talk to from a couple of his lives, just more insight, because you don't really hear him go. He had a live where he mentioned he was a star seed and things of that nature. So to kind of dig into that and maybe get a little more of his experience coming to that realization and how that's perceived with his peers, being basketball players and all that stuff. But before that, I was thinking Bashar. I don't know if you've heard of Bashar. The guy that channels him is a guy by the name of Daryl Anka. I'm probably not pronouncing his name right. But Bashar is supposed to
I don't know either of them.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Esther Hicks?
Yeah, Abraham and Esther Hicks. Yep.
Yeah. So it's kind of similar to that, how Esther Hicks channels Abraham.
Okay.
And Esther Hicks will be, she's got more information out there. But Bashar, Daryl Anka channels this supposed alien named Bashar, which is just an interesting character. He has a lot of energy, and it's pretty funny, actually, I think. But I think it'd be cool. I don't know if he'd be able to have Bashar on, but it'd be cool to talk to a supposed interdimensional alien entity, time traveler, whatever he's supposed to be. So that would be kind of cool. He's had some pretty interesting insights. It'd be like talking to Seth or Ra, kind of something, or Abraham, something, some of that nature.
Yeah, I would want to ask somebody who's familiar with that. Where are you? Where are you, and how do you get here? Are you able to physically manifest in our reality? Or have you been here before? What can you tell me about the past, present, and future? If that stuff is interdimensional and they say that time is not linear, tell me something's going to happen in the future. Maybe you don't know what day it's going to happen because you don't really deal with calendars, but you could probably tell me of an event. That'd be pretty interesting. If time is truly not linear, tell me something.
Yeah, I mean, we can get into that, because if the universe is infinite and time isn't linear, then all possibilities would have to exist. So how would I think it'd be difficult to predict a future, on a particular timeline, because I think it wouldn't be set in stone, right? I mean, but right, I guess
if all this is on the same timeline, then this has likely already happened. We're just experiencing this. I mean, we're all like time travelers just experiencing this. I guess you could say we probably couldn't change anything, but if it's all kind of a present AI game simulation, then what we change doesn't matter. All we're doing is just, flipping burgers and buttons. We're not really changing anything.
No, you're not changing anything, but you're experiencing and creating new pathways, new avenues. I mean, it's not predicting the future; it's creating it. So, I think that's more exciting than just living along a timeline where this is going to happen. Well, I think it's more fun to be part of the process. So I think that's why we're playing the game we're playing.
Okay, my last choice, I would pick somebody that would have some connections to what you just said. When you say Kyrie, I was like, huh. Obviously, I mean, we all know who I would probably pick. If it wasn't Kyrie from that situation, I would want to get Kanye on here. I think Kanye would tell everything, but you two wouldn't like him too much. But I would probably want to pick somebody a little more engaging. I would take Jim Carrey. I think he's been on the Today Show trying to, what we're talking about. Come on, what we're doing here. And I think he would want to say something. Maybe throw us an Easter egg if he couldn't say the whole thing. But if we're talking about hypotheticals and disclosing some secrets, I think Jim Carrey would be somebody that'd be pretty cool to be on, and he'd be pretty funny, obviously too. So,
yeah. But could he really tell you something that would surprise you as far as what you've seen the potentials of? I mean, he would be able to validate some stuff, but I mean, I don't think there's much you'd be able to say that'd be like, oh, I mean, it would be cool to hear it from him and hear an insider. But
yeah, I mean, I would want to know. I would want to know who's calling the shots. Like, okay, so maybe Hollywood's not calling the shots. Some of the movie scripts. Like, I mean, I believe he's probably been with it enough to at least go, man, where y'all got this fucking script from? Like, come on, like, who wrote this? Like, this isn't just some the Truman Show. I mean, maybe he wasn't completely awake doing that. Maybe he didn't question what was going on, but that must have got his head revolving around some stuff, right? I mean, he must have been thinking about it, like, after the fact, especially after the fact. And the show comes out, and you're like, man, I see too many coincidences going on over here with this Hollywood baloney and this other stuff that they're throwing in soft disclosure. Like, I would want to know something from him. Like, have you seen anything? Are you able to talk about, like, who's calling the shots, who's writing the scripts? I done blew my last pick, but we'll throw a bonus one in there. I'm gonna give you my fourth one, and it's gonna be the dude that wrote The Simpsons. I would like to know what's up with that.
Yeah,
somebody got to tell me something. Like, I mean, realistically, you can't tell me that you just in your head just said, I'm gonna just have Kobe die in a helicopter. No, sir. No, man. You didn't get that script from that.
Was it?
Yes, it was.
That was.
No,
nope, it was on The
Simpsons. Yep. Kobe died in a helicopter.
Yeah, I'll double check that. Because I remember seeing that too, but I didn't think that was on The Simpsons. It was animation, but I'll check it later.
I mean,
but now, yeah, I was thinking of him too.
I saw it. I didn't see the Simpsons show where he did it. I saw the skit where it happened, and it was in The Simpsons. So it's possible that somebody's just messing with us. Somebody's Mandella affecting us or something. Trying to say that it didn't happen or it did happen or whatever. But I mean, The Simpsons has predicted numerous things. Obviously, I mean, we all know what the deal is with that one. But like, I would like to know. What goes on in their heads when they're writing a script like that, or when they see it happen. I'm not one of those people, me, that's not going to necessarily think of, he's a Kabbalist or a Satanist or somebody, he's writing it to disclose to the world. I think it's quite possible that whoever wrote that is just seeing it in their dreams, or they're just being creative. And whatever's giving him that information was actually showing him what's synchronistic.
Yeah. Or he can be in the know. He can have the information.
Or he could be writing it.
Just be like, hey,
yeah,
we're gonna do this.
He could be writing it. Yeah, the other thing I thought about is talking about Mandela effects and stuff. I thought, is it possible that none of the things that we think are Mandela effects actually happened in that timeline. Maybe it's possible that it's being introduced to us like we're supposed to have remembered it differently. And then I don't really know how that makes any sense, because I'm not like, everybody says they remember it the same way, right? Like I have memories, you have memories. Nobody's going to be able to tell me otherwise that those memories weren't legit. Like Ed McMahon, I know for sure. That's a dummy proof one. But like the Star Wars one, No, I Am Your Father. I mean, that's pretty interesting. Go down that rabbit hole with Anakin, Anunnaki, Know That I Am Your Father. I mean, these are some interesting things. Obviously, the Mandela effect is pretty fascinating, but like, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility thinking that if this is a simulation, that could be something that we're just getting frequency downloads to say, well, we remember it this way, but do we really remember it that way? Or do we just have a feeling that we remembered it that way and it's really strong? That's not out of my possibility either, that all these memories, we're having memories of memories, basically, is what I'm thinking is possible.
Yeah, one of the talks I've seen where Bashar was talking about that, not necessarily Mandela effects, but how we're basically transitioning. Like he was basically saying that time is us transitioning dimensions and we experience it as time. So if you can imagine a concept like that, to where that dimension where Luke says, "No, I am your father," and Darth Vader says, "No, I am your father," or whatever else he says. That's one particular dimension and another, and maybe we spent more time in one than another. I mean, that can get all convoluted. But in a multiverse, I mean, all possibilities would have to exist. So
yeah, I mean, all possibilities do exist anyway. I mean, the Chad was talking about something today. He said, basically there's a scientific term, it's slipping my mind right now, but that the percentage, the possibility that life is on Earth the way that it is like not existent. Like there's no possibility that we're here doing this. The things that would have to have happened, situation, circumstance after probability is like zero. Like there's a term for that. I'll have to circle back to that, but like the chances of that happening are zero. So why do we think that anything is really possible? I mean, or impossible? Why do we think that there's has to be a solution to everything? The fact that we're here doing this over Bluetooth and over a camera makes absolutely no sense to me. You can't make sense of this to anybody. I don't care if you're an engineer or you invented Bluetooth signals and you invented wireless transmissions. This doesn't make any sense, man. This seems like it's got to all be a dream. That's the only way I can figure this out. Like if I can imagine it can happen. That's not really. I mean, really.
Yeah. I was at the Imagine Cafe. There's a vegan cafe in Memphis called Imagine Cafe, and when I was just looking at the word imagine, it's a few things in there, and one of the things I thought about is I am genie. I'm a genie. Imagine. You just mentioned this being imagination. You imagine and then you can create it. So this is a dream-like reality, and we have dreams, and you think about it, inside of when you dream, you create a whole world that you inhabit and you experience, and you have all of these things. Who's to say this isn't a layer of that dream, just a more solidified version of the dream world, if you will,
of the construct. Yep.
Yeah,
we're doing something here, that's for sure. Let's do one more question, and then we'll cut this to the shortest part off. Let's do a question. Who inspired you the most during this journey? Who do you think, not just inspiration, motivation, but like who made you question reality the most, or what situation made you question it the most? Was there a time where you were like, just you feel like you made like one hell of an aha leap? Like what day, what happened?
No, for me it was gradual. But I'd say, I mean, I listen to a lot of older philosophers or teachers or whatever. One of the ones that really had an impact on me was a guy by the name of Anthony DeMeo, and he's not that popular in this day and time, but he was a Jesuit priest that talked about waking up and spirituality and consciousness inside of the Catholic Church. And he was very popular. And, you know, he was talking about Jesus not being special and a whole lot of things that I was surprised he was getting away with, but they allowed him to do it because of his popularity. But afterwards, the Catholic Church kind of denounced him and said, you know, he wasn't following doctrine and all that stuff. But the reason I liked him is because he talked about waking up as a pragmatic, matter of fact kind of thing. And you know, he was a smooth talker and he was just eloquent with his words. And he really didn't make it seem like it was an airy-fairy thing and that it was something that was accessible. And I really liked the way he presented the information.
That's cool. That's cool. I think for me early on, what really made me question reality, even though it wasn't nearly to this level, was the Joe Dispenza story when he was talking about basically laying on a bed face down and being not able to move. He had broken vertebrae. He was incapacitated. And he said, basically, you know, day after day, I just mentally went internal and was like, I'm gonna fuse these vertebrae. And I was like, okay, I'm not sure that's possible, but what if, you know, what, I mean, he's saying he did it. Now, I don't know if he did it or didn't do it, or there was a miracle, but he went to some surgeons. If people don't know the story, went to surgeons, got hit. Well, he was hit on a bicycle in a triathlon race or in a marathon bike race. Truck hit him head on, T-boned him or whatever, and paralyzed him. Severed like 30 vertebrae in his back. And, you know, surgeons said, listen, this is the only thing we can do for you, but it won't heal you properly. And he said, no. He was a chiropractor and said, no, whatever surgery you're proposing that we do was very risky, dangerous, and limiting. And he said, no. So he went home and he said he laid in bed for days and months. And then he decided that was it. I'm over this. I'm going to fix myself. And mentally, he said he fixed his neurons to fix his back, to fuse into the nerves and the spine. And I was like, that's pretty crazy. And he's telling it like he did it. I mean, I'm assuming he did it. I don't know why he would lie, but I mean, I'm sure he's being who he is now. He has reason to say that, you know, that was not a truthful story, but just the thought of that. And then the guy that did 10,200 push-ups without stopping. And I'm like, that is not possible. That's not possible. I started asking everybody at the gym that I was at. I was like, hey, you know what the world record for push-ups is? They're like, nah. I'm like, take a guess. Everybody was like, I don't know, like 250, 300. I was like, nah, man. They're like, 1,000? No, sir. They're like, in one stop? I'm like, 10,200 or whatever the number, 10,100 or whatever it was. Like, that's ridiculous. That's really, you think about mind over matter and you really start believing that anything is possible. Like the dude doing that, it probably had to take him like hours. I mean, I don't know who filmed it, but it's in the Guinness. So it's been observed, been verified. And that made me really question reality. What's going on, like internally, mentally, so it's been a hell of a ride. I'm really, really excited to see where this thing goes, where this podcast goes, the people we're going to meet along the way. We probably can't even imagine. And you know, just thankful and feel a lot of gratitude that we are in this position, about to embark on this journey that I know is going to lead somewhere incredible. So even though Chad's not here, thank you to him, and I thank you to you, and you know, I look forward to see where this thing goes.
Yeah, and just piggybacking on what you said, just this thing came to mind. And it's something that we're so used to that we just kind of overlook, but just the miracle of just life and just how you take a couple of cells that evolved into two beings talking to each other, you know, and have the consciousness and inner awareness and all of this stuff, right? That just the complexity of what we experience in day-to-day life it's a miracle. We're part of the miracle. We just got used to it. We just really don't realize how amazing we are. I'm watching this documentary series on the human body, and it's amazing what goes on behind the scenes. That just it's incredible.
Yeah,
the
1.3 trillion volts of body, 1.3 trillion volts in your body going off potentially. That's more than any atomic bomb in the history of the world, and it's all in about the speck of a grain of salt that's been posturized. So
yeah, and they were saying that your blood vessels, if you stretch them out, they'll go around the world like 4 times. So yeah, all of
the flat plane, the infinite plane, or the globe, because I'm really curious.
They're saying the globe.
The globe, around the globe, the infinite plane. The universe is infinite, but the globe is just the size of 24,000 miles. Gotcha.
Yeah, no, they're mainstream science on that. So
yeah, we can get Neil deGrasse Tyson on here, but then I might have to get Eric Dubé on here, I guess, too. So you want to get one, you got to get the other one, or Eddie Bravo.
Yeah.
He could probably just knock out Neil deGrasse and just call it a day.
Yeah, I don't think you get anywhere with that conversation.
No.
I think
No.
It'd be interesting to see him debate, but I don't think you. And there was a guy I seen on the news that passed away. He was trying to take off in a rocket, and his rocket malfunctioned, and he was trying to prove flat Earth. Yeah, flat. You can look at it, pull it up right now. What's his name? Yeah, this was Mike Hughes. Yeah. So
I'll link it in there, hopefully.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess he had a home, he was building his rockets himself. So I thought that was interesting. And it seems like that's an older story, but it came up recently, but yeah, anyway.
All right. Well,
yes.
we will conclude this, and my higher self wants to remind you to surrender, seek truth, and let go. And remember, we are all one. We're all in this together. Until next time, much love.
Peace.
As Chad would say, namaste.